Hello and welcome back everyone. This is the second part. I'm Dr. Nidhi Bhatt, Assistant Professor English from Banu Pratap Dev College, Kanki. This is the second part of my video in which we will see Ode to the West Wind. Now, in the previous video we have seen about the introduction, context and gist. So this is the second part. Shelley is addressing the West Wind. He gives the message of reform through the poem. Now, what type of reform he wants to bring? He actually wants that the old should disappear and the new thing should come. In this poem, Shelley called the west wind both the destroyer and the preserver. That is, destroyer for the old things and preserver for the new one. The west wind blows from the west to the east. The west wind comes in such a vigorous way that the dry leaves of the tree fell down. These dry leaves are of many colors. Some are yellow, some are black, some are red, something like that. It seems that some type of disease is there. Now, all the 5 sections of this poem are of 14 lines. The poet tells the effect of west wind upon the world. Now, these are the lines. This is the section 1 of Ode to the West Wind. So these are the opening lines. In the opening lines of this poem, the poet invokes the west wind, which carries the dead leaves from the tree like a magician who is taking away the ghostly thing. The leaves are of many colors. Some are yellow, some are black, some are pale and hectic red, as if some type of disease is there. The west wind carries the dry leaves with it, and along with it, it also carries some seeds and bury them in the ground like a corpse, that is a dead body. We all know that dead body is buried in the ground after death. So in the same way, the seeds are buried there. Now those seeds remain in the ground until the sister of the west wind, that is the spring, comes to wake them up, and small buds peep from those seeds, and the earth becomes evergreen with the flowers. The west wind is becoming destroyer as the dry leaves are old and so destroyed, and the preserver, in which sense? As seeds are safe and preserved in the ground to bloom in the form of buds. So here it is the preserver. So the west wind is both the destroyer and the preserver. Come to the section number 2. Now, in this part of the poem, the poet tells the effect of west wind upon the clouds. In the previous section, he told the effect about effect on the land, and in this he is telling the effect on the clouds. That is, when the west wind arrives, what all things are happening in the sky. When the west wind comes, the clouds in the sky scattered here and there. The storms are here compared to the angels, which are bringing rain with them. Now he also speaks about Maenad, which is the god of vines. Now he imagines her long hair and says, as the hair of Maenad are open and blowing in the air, in the same way the clouds are scattered here and there in the sky. So such a beautiful comparison here is. He also speaks about the year which is about to go, that is about to leave, the dying year. When the west wind blows, a sweet sound comes, and Shelley compares it by saying, it seems as if west wind is singing a sad song for the dying year. That is the departure of the year. When someone is leaving us, we are very sad, na? And we are about to cry. So he is comparing very beautifully here that the wind is also mourning on that going of the air. Along with this, these clouds are framing a sort of dome over the tomb. The appearance of clouds are fearful. They are so black and dense as if about to burst. Now this is the section number 3 of Ode to the West Wind. Now in this section, Shelley speaks the effect of west wind upon the sea, as how the west wind is affecting the Mediterranean Sea. He says to the west wind that the sea was very calm and still before you came, so you are disturbed. But as soon as you come, everything is just scattered and broken, and some type of disturbance is there. Also, he says that the environment around the sea during summer is peaceful and soothing. But as the wind blows, it disturbs everything and takes away the peace with it. The sea suddenly wakes up from the dreaming world. Now, the poet tells us about the Atlantic Sea, how west wind is affecting it. From this area, the west wind blows so aggressively and vigorously that the water cuts into two parts, and the water plants and its leaves fell down out of fear. How terribly it is blowing. Now comes the section number 4. So in the first 3 sections, the poet was telling us about the effect of west wind upon the land, air and sea. But now in this section number 4, the mood, or we can say the thought, the idea of the poet changes. In this part, the poet speaks about himself and the wind. He asks the west wind if he were a dead leaf or a cloud, it would have taken him away. If he would have been a wave, it would have flown along with the wind. Also, the poet imagines if he were in his childhood, he would have more energetic and powerful than the wind. The wind will not be able to beat him. And he wouldn't have prayed before the wind. Instead, he could have run faster than it. So he is appealing or requesting to the west wind to drive him away like a dry leaf, cloud, and wave. He accepts that the life is full of many problems and sufferings, and he is very sad. He wants a type of freedom from his painful life. So he asks the west wind to make him like it. You can say the chained and bored. So the poet is very heavily, he is burdened from the difficulties of life. So he just wants a relief from it. So he is appealing to the west wind to just take him away with it. Now comes the section number 5. So in this final section of the poem also, the poet is repeating the same thought and idea. He is praying the west wind to take him away with it. He wishes to become an instrument of the wind. And when the beats of music will come from him, it will be very sad in tune. Since he is very sad and inside also, so the same tune will come from his mouth. So he just, if he were an instrument, he will play very sadly. He asks the west wind to make him its spirit, soul, and spread his ideas and thoughts to the world as if it has scattered those dry leaves everywhere. So as the wind is taking away the dry leaves with it, in the same way he wants the west wind to take him and his ideas also with him. He wants the wind to spread his words in the world like the ashes from the hearth. Now in the final couplet, that is the trumpet of a prophecy. O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? He asked the west wind to trumpet in a loud voice that if the winter has arrived, spring will come for sure. That spring is very near. That is, if there is helplessness and sadness everywhere, then happiness is also about to come in the near future. So students, these were the 5 sections of the poem which I have taught you. Now we are coming to the literary devices of Ode to the West Wind. See, the first one is alliteration. Now what do you mean by alliteration?